Part 7b, read the passage and be ready to provide a sample. Eco homes. Eco homes are those homes which are in line with the uh, environment, uh, is not intended to, uh, let's say, harm and damage the environment and the nature, takes its supply energy, electricity, gas from the nature without trying to destroy it. Let's read and talk about the text. Eco homes. When a massive wildfire destroyed more than 1,000 homes last year in the bone-dry hills of drought-stricken Lake County, California, about 2 hours north of San Francisco, Magdalena Amelia Scott and her husband, Elliot Scott, were among those made homeless. So, massive is enormous, big. Wildfire, a, a very violent fire that happens in the nature. For example, just recently we had a very wild fire in Australia, burning down lots of the trees, lots of the forests there. It was really massive. When a massive wildfire destroyed more than 1,000 homes last year in a completely dry hills of drought-stricken Lake County. Drought-stricken, uh, when some area is affected by lack of water, is described as drought-stricken. Drought means waterlessness, the state of having no water. Hills of drought-stricken Lake County in California, and the rest is giving the precise location for the area. Magdalena Amelia Scott and her husband, Elliot Scott, were among those people who were made homeless. They lost their homes in the fire. Eager to transform their tragedy into an opportunity, they got together with a group of neighbors who had also lost their homes and began imagining a different kind of community. Since they were eager to change their sad story into an opportunity, into a chance, into an asset, they got together with a group of neighbors who had lost their homes and began imagining a different kind of neighborhood, a different kind of society and community. Amelia Scott, a former nonprofit administrator, in the past, he was an administrator who didn't get, money from the government, nonprofit administrator. And her husband, who was a retired strategic planner with Napa County Transportation and Planning Agency, and Elliot Scott used to work for a transportation company as a strategic planner. As someone who used to plan strategies and plans for the company. They didn't want to replace their house with an oversized energy guzzler isolated from their neighbors. They didn't want to have a new house which uh, was an oversized energy guzzler, oversized, too big house that overuses the energy, uh, and is isolated from other neighbors. Isolated, it means they who has cast away from their neighbors. Instead, they began exploring ways to create a so-called intentional community. Instead of that, they wanted to search for ways to make a kind of neighborhood which is intentional, which is in a way that they have intended to make, you know, a neighborhood that could better protect them from climate change related risks and be a model for how to live with less impact on the planet. Their new house was supposed to protect them from the dangers which were related to uh, climate change, such as, I don't know, um global warming, such as hurricanes, such as uh, storms, anything, and be a model for how to live with less effects, destructive effects on the planet Earth. We want to try to mitigate and prepare for future disasters. Now, they want to reduce the unpleasant effects and prepare themselves for future disasters, events like what happened to their former house, like wildfire, earthquake. And for us, that resiliency should include a new way to develop rather than the kind of suburban single family home with people isolated from each other living in their own castles. And for us, that resiliency, that toughness, that difficulty should include a new way to become better, to improve, rather than the kind of suburban single family home, a family in which there is only one family living, a home in which there is only one family living, which is located in the suburbs, with people who are isolated from each other, who are far from each other, and live in their own castles and houses. Emilia Scott says this. More than 5,000 miles away in Amsterdam, a California-based development company called Reagan Villages is about to break ground on a very similar project. In Amsterdam, the Netherlands, a development company, which is whose base is in California and is called the Reagan Villages, is going to start. Break ground means to start a very similar project as they wanted to. When it's completed next year, an off-grid development of 100 homes will aim to be almost completely self-sufficient. We talked about off-grid homes. They are homes which are self-sufficient, which are independent from any outside energy supplies, such as electricity supply, such as water and heat supply, provided them from outside. They produce all of this inside their establishments. Each 25 home will encircle several food production facilities for growing organic produce and raising chicken and fish using advanced agricultural technologies that require less land, like aquaponics and vertical farms. Each neighborhood, each community included 25 homes, and those homes are supposed to be built around the production facilities for growing, and these production facilities include growing organic produce. Produce is noun form of produce. That's why there is a change in pronunciation. Produce means products. Organic produce and organic crops, and raising chicken and fish using advanced agricultural technologies that require less land, like aquaponics. Aquaponics, as we have here in the below the text, there is a definition, refers to any system that combines conventional aquaculture, raising aquatic animals, with hydroponics, cultivating plants and water in a symbiotic environment. So, in brief, aquaponics refers to a system of growing plants in a water, along with animals like fish. There is an area full of water in which both animals and plants are grown and raised. And vertical farms, as you see in the photo, here we have vertical farms. The settlement will generate its own wind, solar, and biogas power and manage its wastewater in a closed-loop system that also captures waste to be recycled as energy and fertilizers. This establishment, this community, will produce its own wind, solar, which is related to sun rays, sunshine, and biogas. Biogas is a mixture of methane, we call it methane in our language, methane and carbon dioxide, to be used as a fuel, and manage its wastewater. Controls the wastewater in a closed loop. Closed loop is an automatic control system which brings back whatever which is wasted, and captures waste, takes waste to be recycled and used as energy and fertilizer. Fertilizer is a substance which is added to the farm to facilitate the growth of plants, to increase the amount of crops and plants. All right, this is the text. I hope there is nothing left from the text. Part 7C, answer the following questions. What did the families decide to do after their homes were destroyed by the fire? I suppose because they were eager to change their tragedy into an opportunity, into an asset, they gathered together and decided to make a very different type of community. How are the traditional houses described in the text? Sometimes they are described as oversized energy guzzlers. Sometimes they are described as, for example, suburban single-family home. Yeah. What kind of neighborhood are they after? They are looking for a kind of neighborhood which is off-grid, which is independent and self-sufficient and produces all the facilities in itself. How will the Regan villages be? They will encircle several food production facilities for growing organic produce, and they raise animals like chicken and cultivate plants in water using aquaponics, and they will manage the waste system. It is totally independent using technologies, advanced technologies. Okay, thank you. I think it's over. Please read the text again and again. Try to learn any single vocabulary. In case of any problems, take notes and ask them in the first meeting after Nowruz. Thank you.